Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Yes, today's just a wee bit of a kind of time filler, isn't it? You know, there's not too much to talk about in the world of Celtic. We've got past the derby. We're now heading into the last game of the split on Saturday. A game which is equally as important as that game at Ibrox, you could say. It's a chance to kind of reinforce our intentions of winning this league title. It's really important we don't drop points. We'll cover all of that tomorrow before the game does kick off. But today we're going to talk about some good news coming out of Celtic, showing how good our players have been this season. You've got a legend of the game praising one of them, and you've got another one who's off the back of winning Player of the Month. Before we go any further with the video, please make sure to drop down below and hit the subscribe button. You know how to do it at this point. I say it every single video and I'm just banging on about it, but the support has been magnificent recently, so please, if you could continue to hit that subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. Hit the like button as well when you're down there. It's been a magic season, and we've still got a little bit to go, a little bit to hopefully enjoy just as much as we've enjoyed so far, and I can't wait to kind of wrap things up and celebrate as much success as possible. However, it's been a season of proving people wrong. We talk about it all the time. Ange has done it, countless players have done it, and Celtic as a football club have done it. We've proved every single person wrong that doubted us at the start of the season, and even doubted some of ourselves wrong. You know, I don't think many of us would have expected Celtic to be in the position they currently find themselves. And you know what? That was just being honest. That was being realistic. But it's just a credit to how good that Ange Postecoglou has got this team playing, and how well they've understood the task ahead of them, and how ahead of schedule they are. You know, it's a real tip of the hat moment. And look, I'm so happy that I've been proven wrong about so many people and so many things. That's ultimately why I want to watch football, because I want to be shocked, I want to be surprised, I want to be emotionally connected to the wins and the victories, and the successes against all odds. That's just the sheer beauty of this sport. And this season, it's been exactly that. But there has been so many players over the course of this season who've had question marks above their heads when they were signed, when they started, and even as much as recently, you know, players have still had question marks over their head. There's been a real hard time to find an overall judgment of some players. You know, you get a contingent of some supporters who really back a player, but then you get the other side who haven't been as convinced, you could say. And that's happened recently. You've seen Dyson Maeda got off to a little bit of a mixed start. A lot of people weren't fully convinced. A lot of people were willing to be patient, and the same with a couple of the guys that we're going to talk about in this video, because these are two guys that have kind of stood up and proved so many people wrong this season, including myself on one of the occasions, and two people who deserve to be spoke about like heroes come the end of the season for their part in what has been a joy to watch in this team. So let's start with Georgios Giakoumakis. He has been named the Player of the Month for March after a very impressive performance throughout that month, and a very impressive performance since he's returned from the winter break with everybody else. I think he's been probably the most impressive player to watch since then. I can't think of many better. He's been on fire since the absence of Kyogo Furuhashi. We've seen him chip into 11 goals in a Celtic jersey. He's been really important in holding us together in that final third, and kind of doing the business when, you know, scoring goals. You miss somebody like Kyogo so much. He's the most prolific player at Celtic. He's still, I think, our top scorer. That's hard to replace, especially when you look at Giakoumakis and you look at the position he was in before the winter break. Before the winter break, I think there was still a large amount of Celtic fans who weren't fully convinced on Georgios Giakoumakis. He didn't leave the best of first impressions when he played against Livingston, remember, and back then, I know he played, I think, before that, but that was really the first sort of major impression he left on Celtic fans, that penalty miss, which saw us drop points at Celtic Park, and it was really unfair of Celtic fans to use that performance as the kind of benchmark, I think, for Georgios Giakoumakis. And since then, it took him a little bit of time to get cooking, but he had to step up. It was vital that he stepped up when Kyogo was gone, and there were so many people who wrote off our chances of scoring goals. There were so many people who wrote off our chances of being in the position we are now because they didn't believe as much in Georgios Giakoumakis as they did in Kyogo, and that's fair. Of course, Kyogo was a fantastic kind of benchmark. I'll use that word again. He was a fantastic sort of player to have as the standard setter. You know, he was so good, and to reach those levels was probably near impossible. And a lot of people just never seen Giakoumakis getting anywhere close. But to come out from this winter break, to then score 11 goals when we've needed him to step up, and put in the performances he has alongside that, it's absolutely tremendous. And he's one of the players that come the end of the season will deserve a massive shout for being one of our best, and someone will deserve a lot of credit for taking us to where we are right now. If we do go and win this league title, which we're in a really good position to do now, I think George Giakoumakis could ultimately looked at as one of the most important figures in that. Because he's pulled us out of the rut a couple of occasions now. A big hat-trick against Dundee, which got a 90th minute goal, if you remember. A hat-trick as well against Ross County in a fantastic performance. He's also chipped in with another important performances and hard-fought wins. His kind of persistence as a player, and his ability to kind of be there from start to finish and be a presence in those games has really saw us win 3 points in numerous different occasions. He will deserve a massive shout for Player of the Year, and he'll deserve to be credited as much as the rest of the guys, because he's been so good. And this Player of the Month award is nothing short of deserved for Georgios Giakoumakis. In the month of March, 5 goals, fantastic return for the striker. And you've got him getting his international call-up as well to the Greek national team, where he was used over there. And you know, he's just worked so hard for all of this. He's really reaping the rewards of the fine form we've seen him in, and I couldn't be happier for the guy. I really couldn't. 12 goals from 12 first touches over the course of his Celtic career thus far. That's an incredible stat. It's almost unbelievable, you know, just to say that he's scored 12 goals from those 12 touches. He's just always in the right place at the right time, and those goals are vital goals. That's the thing, you know. It's all well and good when you get screamers and you get Kyogo chipping the keeper, Hatate scoring from range. They're fantastic and they deserve to be applauded. But these first touch goals, they might not look the best on the eye, but they're the sort of goals that win you titles. Being there in the right place at the right time, a finisher, a natural finisher. That's what Celtic need in a striker, and he's quickly becoming my favourite outfield player at Celtic. I've said this before. I love him. Enjoy your manager of the month. Enjoy your player of the month award, Georgios, because you're so deserving. And talking about favourite outfield players, let's move on to my favourite player altogether. Let's move on to Joe Hart. My God almighty, he is being praised right now for his form in a Celtic jersey and his season, his kind of, you could say, resurgence of a season for Joe Hart. Look, I made a video last month and I spoke about everything that I said about Joe Hart and all the doubts I had about Joe Hart, and I basically apologised, said how wrong I was, and spoke about Joe Hart now as we see him, and this brand new confident Joe Hart. And I really can't express anymore how much I mean all of those sort of apologies and how happy I am we have got this version of Joe Hart. He is unbelievable, and he's by leaps and bounds the best keeper in this country. You can stick your Craig Gordons up your jumper, because Joe Hart is just unbelievable, and he's been, once again, just like Giakoumakis, vital in this Celtic side. And he's been there from start to finish. You know, he's one of the first signings Ange brought in. He was there from that game against Hearts, I believe, in the opening game of the season. He's only missed a couple since, due to little injuries here and there, but he's been unbelievable throughout this season, and sometimes he's not the easiest on the eye, but he's done what a goalkeeper has to do, and that's keep the ball out of the net. He's had so many clean sheets, so many big saves, both in European and domestic competition. His season has been absolutely brilliant, and I could not be happier that we're seeing it. And it's crazy how things change, because I was so critical, I was so angry that we were signing him because I thought he was finished, but now he's my favourite player. As the confidence that we've given him has brought back the absolute best of Joe Hart, and he's someone that I'm so proud to say is a Celtic player. I couldn't imagine this team without him. In fact, he's a leader, he's quality, and he's getting the praise from the right people for the right reasons. Let's just say it like that. Now, you might have seen it, you might not have, but in my opinion, the greatest keeper of all time, Gianluigi Buffon. I've always said that. I'm not saying it because I love Hart. I genuinely do think he is the best keeper of all time, in my opinion. He's came out with some fantastic praise for Joe Hart over the past 24 hours, which has really got my blood pumping. And it's just nice to hear, isn't it? Because this is at a time, you know, you go back to, say, the early 2010s, Gigi Buffon and Joe Hart were probably two of the top 5 best keepers in Europe. So this is a quality goalkeeper praising another quality goalkeeper, and these comments are lovely. Let's have a look at what Buffon had to say. The way Joe is playing this season is no surprise to me. He's always been a great goalkeeper. He just needed a place to call home again. He is a player I watched develop, and I saw he had everything that he was needed to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world. It was not that long ago that I called him one of the top 3 or 4 goalkeepers in the world, along with the likes of Manuel Neuer, David De Gea, Jan Oblak. These guys were the next generation who could take over from myself and Iker Casillas. That player who was number 1 for Man City in England didn't go away. He just needed to find his confidence again. I've always said that you have to be a little bit crazy to be a goalkeeper because you're so isolated. As a defender, you're part of a defence. As a midfielder, part of a midfield. But the goalkeeper is the isolated player on the field. You make mistakes and all eyes are on you. That's what's happened with Joe. And that's really nice of me to touch on that. And, you know, it's comments from obviously one of the greatest professionals to ever play the game. And the words will be obviously well thought of. And, you know, he's right. He did need a place, I think, to call home again. He needed somebody like Celtic to come in and kind of bring him that confidence back, and that's exactly what we've done. And it's nice to see Gigi Buffon's keeping an eye on him as well, and he's watching Celtic. You know, that's obviously something you never really consider in the back of your mind when it comes to the world legends of football. So yeah, it's fantastic, and you know, he talks about a little bit how he's found his level and he's the love of the game again. You know, these are 2 fantastic goalkeepers, and Joe Hart, who's had a tough time of it of recent, has found it again. And the appreciation from Gigi is the exact same of my appreciation. I love him and I'm glad that he's found it. I've also not had the chance to listen to it yet, but Joe Hart appeared on a podcast earlier this week, and he was speaking on that about, you know, his career in general. It's a really good listen, apparently. I've seen clips and such. And one of the clips I have seen was him talking about Nuno Espirito Santo coming into Tottenham Hotspur and getting rid of Joe Hart and his comments towards Joe. And I'm just so glad he's got to prove somebody like that wrong as well. Just like he's proven me wrong, but to prove him wrong after all those kind of comments, which would be really hard to take when you're a player that wants to be as successful as Joe. To see him kind of throw that back in his face is delightful, especially when Nuno Espirito Santo is out of a job. Yeah, and that'll do it. That's us for today. I'll let you like and subscribe and all the rest of it. God bless Joe Hart. God bless Georgios Giakoumakis. And we'll be hopefully back with a podcast or so over the next couple of days to preview St Johnstone. Right, okay, enjoy. See you next time.